American Horror Story New York City Season 11 Episode 3 and 4 Ending Explained. Following on from the first two episodes of there being a serial killer on the loose, the questioning around if Big Daddy is an individual that's real, Sam's involvement in the darkness, and the disease that is garnering some attention. In episode 3 and 4, we saw the story develop further, and whilst the case didn't really get any closer to being solved, there were some further discoveries that were made. So with that, I thought I'd recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this episode. So let's get into it. Here is American Horror Story New York City Season 11 Episode 3 and 4 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Episode 3 and 4 fleshed out the story and the world a little more when compared to the first two episodes. We saw Sam being investigated further, Patrick and Gino getting closer to catching Mr. Whiteley, and it looking as though both Patrick and Gino have contracted HIV. With Mr. Whiteley getting away from being caught by the both of them, we saw him eventually go on to kill again, with it looking like he was also going to be killing the two individuals that followed him with good intentions, with the aim of finding his address to be able to go to the police. I'm going to break this video down by the main questions that were left at the end of the episodes. Is Big Daddy real? I personally don't feel as though Big Daddy is an individual that's real. He may have been real in the past, and there's proof of that in the photos that were taken by Theo, but I do believe that he's now in fact dead. Big Daddy only appears in front of certain people, whereas some others haven't seen him at all. For example, in episode 3 and 4, we saw that Patrick saw him for the first time and said how he was actually real, showing that he once questioned if he was or not. The supernatural edge to Big Daddy is something that can't be ignored. He can evade extremely quickly, hides in plain sight, and appears to be susceptible to receiving damage. So what if he isn't real? I think he's the symbol of death for the individuals that he encounters, like a Grim Reaper. I believe Patrick has now seen him through his own eyes because, as we saw in episode 3 of the show, Patrick had some lesions on his arms, most likely showing that he's contracted HIV/AIDS. The epidemic was extremely fatal to individuals that contracted it back in the 80s, and death was an outcome that was highly likely to occur for individuals that contracted the disease. With Patrick now seeing Big Daddy, I think it's shown that he's in fact got it, and judging by episode 4 of the show where we saw Gino having lesions on himself as well, and the misdiagnosis by the staff due to there not being much information known about it at that specific time, it looks as though he's also passed it on to Gino. With Patrick stating how he has intimate relations with other men, he'll most likely have contracted it there, and passed it on to Gino when they were together. This is why I feel that whenever we see Big Daddy, we don't hear dialogue or see him do anything else other than try to harm the individuals that he stumbles across, because he's a symbol for the death that will eventually be arriving. Who started the fire? In the show, we saw that Big Daddy was the person who started the fire in the members-only club that Adam went to with Theo. So if he wasn't real, then how could it have been him? Well, the only person who claimed that they saw that it was Big Daddy was Adam, who we've seen has had previous encounters with him in the past. And with the lady on the subway saying something is coming to him, like we saw happen to Hans, who ended up succumbing to the disease, I think it also means that Adam could likely have HIV/AIDS. We heard in the show that there could have been multiple people who could have wanted to have caused a fire at the club, so it could have been somebody who was homophobic and wanted to carry out an act of terror. So with only Adam believing he saw Big Daddy, I don't think it was him. What's going on with Patrick? Detective Patrick is proving to be an interesting character. He clearly has a past that is starting to catch up with him. With his wife going to Gino with all of these discoveries that she keeps finding, along with Sam claiming that he knew him when he went to investigate his apartment, it's only a matter of time before the lies he's hiding start to come out. It was heavily alluded to us that Patrick could be Big Daddy, but I don't think that's the case. I believe that the lies that he's been telling go as far as the naiveness to the bandanas, along with the extremity of the mask and outfits that he was trying on, along with the cheating on Gino. However, we saw him come clean on it. He's been used to lying to everybody around him, his wife, the police force, so it's most likely difficult for a man who's spent the entirety of his life lying to crack it immediately. However, we did see him come out to the police force in episode 4, along with telling everything to Gino, so I believe that's the extremity of the lies uncovered. And it's only as far as a man that's struggling to come to terms with how to be who he truly is when he's kept it covered up his whole life. Is Mr. Whiteley acting alone? Mr. Whiteley is a character that's tearing up a storm within the city. He's going around killing gay men in New York City, and as far as we know, His main motivator is that he believes that people care about lives more only when they're gone, so his motives are still relatively unclear. All we know is that he served in Vietnam and is not prepared to kill a fellow veteran. The composite sketch and identity of him is becoming more well known amongst the community, so I feel it's only a matter of time before people cotton on to him and we see him get caught. However, he himself may find himself face to face with Big Daddy soon, as we know that he went to the doctor recently with a rash, and we know that it's linked to the disease that the doctor is looking into, as she took his blood to be tested on. So it'll be interesting to see if he does meet Big Daddy over the coming episodes. Sam definitely has something dark going on. With his cage a few stories below, I don't think he's connected to Mr. Whiteley in any way, but I believe he's carrying out sinister acts on individuals and he could well be seeking revenge on Theo, after we saw that he decided to leave Sam to be with Adam. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with Sam, as we've not seen much of him. I'd argue he's been the character we've seen the least, but what we have, it's left a lot of questions surrounding him. I thought these 2 episodes of the show were good. They developed on from the first 2 well, but I'm hoping there'll be a little more action in the next 2 episodes that we get. The pacing is quite slow at the moment, and I'm still not a huge fan of 2 episodes being released in one go. I much prefer to have 1 episode at a time. I'd like to see more developments getting made in the next 2 episodes, which, judging by the trailer, it seems as though it's going to happen, and it looks as though it could get a lot darker and more sinister. The series seems as though its 2 tellings merged together. The outbreak of the AIDS epidemic in the early 80s and also a serial killer targeting gay men. It's shining a light on the way that homosexual men and women were being treated by the authorities, by fellow citizens, and I imagine we'll see the stigma that comes with having HIV/AIDS as discoveries get made. I'm looking forward to seeing how the series develops and what's in store for the characters in this season of American Horror Stories. I'm covering the entire series, so feel free to head over to my channel to find my video on the first 2 episodes, and be sure to stick around for weekly releases on the upcoming episodes. So, there you have it, American Horror Story New York City Season 11 Episode 3 and 4, Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of these 2 episodes? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.